Hi, my name's Craig Petty and welcome to Nothing But The Truth. This is my chance to let you know what I feel about what's going on in the magic industry. Don't expect a high quality, studio-based review show. If you're looking for that, look somewhere else. This is a no-frills look at the good, the bad and the ugly. Basically, if I'm passionate about something or something has pissed me off, I'm going to let you know. You may love me, you may hate me, but I promise you one thing, there will be nothing but the truth. My name's Craig Petty, and I'm back.
Unless you've been living under a rock for the last couple of years, you've probably heard of a guy called Rick Lax. You may know him from Penn and Teller Fool Us, you may know him from Penguin Magic, or you may even know him from Facebook, where he has built up a huge following in a very short period of time by putting out videos that get hundreds of thousands of likes and comments and shares, generally involving mind reading and using simple mind reading principles, but done via social media. I have a lot of respect for Rick Lax. He has become literally a celebrity, and he's done it using a laptop in Starbucks with a set of headphones. You know, well done, Rick. Good for you. And he's released a lot of stuff, pretty much exclusively with Penguin Magic. And I've got to say, some of his stuff is really, really good. Tornado, which he bought out about a year ago now, I do all the time. If you search for my name on YouTube, and you'll see me performing it. It's a great trick. I always carry Tornado around with me in my close-up bag. So I was really excited recently when he brought out another trick. Now, Tornado is like a gimmick card trick, and it uses a gimmick card every time you perform. And then he brought out this thing called Masterpiece. And I was like, okay, this is exciting. This is exciting. I love Tornado. I'm going to give Masterpiece a go. And for those of you that haven't seen it or haven't heard of it, the effect is this. You bring out a playing card and you're holding it back to the audience right from the very beginning. You say, I've got a playing card here. And then he says to somebody, think of a number between 1 and 10. Let's say they say 7, and then he gets them to name a suit. He says red or black, clubs or spades. He talks about how he wants you to imagine ripping the card up, and you end up with a card. Let's say you end up with a 3 of spades, for example. He then tears the card into 8, and he bunches all 8 pieces together, and he says, if this was your card, would that be good? And they go, yeah, and you turn it around, and it's not your card. It's not even close. It's a red card. And then he takes one of the pieces, puts it into the spectator's hand, they hold it into a fist, he pockets the rest, and he says, what was your card? He says it, and the piece is turned over that they've been holding in their hand, and it changes into their selected card. So basically what you have here is you have a card that's held out in full view, and they name a card, and it changes. So I've got to be honest with you, after being really excited about this coming out, I've very, 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 very disappointed, and that's putting it mildly. First of all, I learnt this. When I watched the download, you get a half an hour download with it as well. When I watched the download, I was watching this, and I was thinking, this isn't going to work. I can't see this working. From a psychological point of view, I can't see this working. And as I was watching the download, I was like, no, this just can't run. But Rick's obviously doing it. It's performing on the streets. It's got to work. It's definitely going to work. So I learnt it. I spent ages practicing it. I was like, right, I'm going to give Rick the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to go out and I'm going to try and do it. And I did it about 6 or 7 times. And the reactions ranged from mediocre at best to pretty much flat out knowing how I did it at worst. Now, that could be that I'm a bad performer. There could be many reasons for that. It could be I didn't do the trick very well. It could be that I handled it badly. It could just be that I'm not Rick Lax. Didn't put enough practice in, whatever the reason. So then I thought, right, okay, I'm going to get a few laymen to watch the video. So I sent the link to the performance, and I got a few people around to watch the performance, and every single person that I showed it to, every single layman that I showed it to, kind of pretty much, I then said to them, how do you think this works? And they gave me how they think works, and it was very, very close to what it actually does. Now, let me explain the negatives behind the trick. Okay, so here's the one positive. Let me tell you about the one positive first of all. You only have one card on display the whole time. There's no setup. You don't need anything else. You literally just take out this one card, you do the trick, and then that's it. Obviously, you rip a card up every time, but you can buy refill packs, and you can buy the trick over and over again. It's been priced cheap enough so that you can get multiple versions, and obviously you get lots of cards with it. But that's the one positive. The one positive is there literally is one card. You're not needing any convoluted setup, and as long as you're carrying a few of these cards with you, there's no reset, because when you want to do it again, you just take another card out. Now, here's the negatives. First of all, and there's lots of little negatives that add up to a trick that's not very good. So the first negative is it's really not a fair selection. Here's the thing. If I wanted to fairly ask someone to name a card, I would say, name a card. I would not say, give me a number between 1 and 10. Now think of a suit, think of a colour, think of a value, whatever. Think of clubs or spades, whatever it may be. I wouldn't do that. I'd just say name a card. Laymen aren't stupid. You start going down that route, and you're limiting stuff. It's getting limited. It's getting limited. So people are thinking, maybe something a little bit dodgy going on. If the rest of the trick was fantastic, that wouldn't be an issue. It would fly. It wouldn't be an issue. But that's the first problem. The first problem is you're limiting the selection slightly. Although technically it is a free choice, it's not really a free choice. Rick covers this on the download, fair enough. But I think the ultimate version of this would be to literally just say, name a card. And you can't do this here, not by far, not at all. The second problem is, in order for the trick to work, you have to, but basically what the effect is in the spectator's mind is that you're showing an indifferent card. Once you've shown that indifferent card, it turns into the card that they've named. In essence, that's the trick. An indifferent card turns into the card that they named. That's the trick. Okay? That's the trick. So in order for this to work like it's meant to, the audience have to be convinced, 100% convinced, that the card that you are holding is not the card that they've named. They have to be convinced of that. Now, think about the process that you go through. You take a card, you rip it up into 8 pieces, you take these 8 pieces and you stack them together, and once they've named the card, you turn those 8 pieces around and you show it's not the card. You're not showing all of the 8 pieces, you're literally just showing one piece at the front of a stack. In my mind, that is not freely showing the whole card. There are going to be people that you are performing this to that are going to think, why would you show a card like that? It's not a very fair way of showing that that's an indifferent card. Now, it's fine for some people. You know those audiences that you perform in front of and they just love you and they just accept everything. I'm sure it'd be fine for them. What it's not fine for is the skeptical people. The people that are kind of like, what are you going to do in that situation where you've got these pieces and you go, is that your card? No, it's not. All right, that would have been good. And they want to look at the pieces. It's just awkward. You can't show the whole card. Let's carry on. You then give them one of the pieces. And you take all the other pieces and you shove them away in your pocket. You focus attention on the piece in the hand. They turn it over. And that little piece turns into the card that you named. Now, there's 2 problems there. The first problem is there's a discrepancy with the piece that they have in their hand. I don't want to get into what the discrepancy is, but there is a discrepancy. Again, it will probably fly past many, many people. I'm sure it will. But you've got this layering now. You've got lots of little problems that will probably fly. But the whole routine, the whole trick is made up of these little problems. First of all, you've got the problem of the fact that, you can't freely get them to name a card. Then you've got the problem of the fact that you can't show that it's an indifferent card other than showing the front of a stack of 8 pieces. Then you've got the fact that when they look at the card and they look at the piece in their hand, it's discrepant. But then, here's the big problem. You cannot then let them see the pieces in your pocket. And here's the thing, laymen aren't stupid. They're not stupid, they're not idiots. Sometimes I think that as performers, as magicians, we credit laymen with no intelligence at all. But they're not stupid, they are intelligent. Okay? And I think that this trick, it's almost like the too perfect theory. If you don't know what the too perfect theory is, basically it states that if a trick is too perfect, then it's not a great trick. And it's kind of that situation here. When that piece, that small piece, changes into the card that they named, there is no other option that it's got something to do with the rest of the card. Because it's not like you took it out of a wallet and therefore maybe it's got something to do with the wallet, or you had it sticking out your top pocket, or you had it on the table and maybe there's a trap door. You held a card, you ripped it up, you gave them a piece, and you put the other pieces away into your pocket without showing them at any point. it's, if they say, which has happened to me when I performed it, and when I showed the performance to friends of mine who are laymen, they said it, what about the pieces in your pocket? You can't show it them. You can't bring it out. And what do you do as a performer at that point? Now, you can just move on. You can just go, no, don't worry about the pocket, let's do a coin trick. But at that point, if you can't bring those little pieces out and show them that it's normal, that's it, game over, you're done. So it's not like, it's just that there's lots of little bad points all the way through. And what I think is happening here, and I could be wrong, but what I think is happening here is that Rick has bought this trick out, and it's not as good as other stuff that he's bought out. It's not as good as other stuff that he's bought out, and it's kind of almost been rushed to market. I don't know if that's the case. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute it is, but it feels from watching it and going out and performing it that it's an unfinished trick, and that a little bit more thought should have gone into it. I also feel that, and again, I talked about this with Nick Hindhorn's Interchange in episode 1, but let's get back to it again. It's solving a problem realistically that doesn't exist. What we're having here is, it's almost like this is a method that's designed to sound absolutely amazing in ad copy and absolutely amazing on a trailer. So it's kind of like, look, think of the ad copy. You have one card at your fingertips. You take the card, you rip it into pieces. They freely name a card. No force. They put the piece in the hand, and without any moves at all, or without any switches, that piece changes in their hand. And technically, that's true. If that was the ad copy, that would be true. What you're not seeing is the fact that the selection procedure is severely limited. The tearing procedure, when you're tearing it up, you have to be very, very, very specific. And that is very difficult to tear a card up when you're having to be very specific without making it look specific, because it's meant to look like you're just tearing it up. You've got the issue of the discrepancy, not being able to show. You've got all of these problems. And it's like I say, it's like the trick has been created just to sound good on the ad copy or just to look good on a trailer. And in reality, there are better ways to do this in the real world. And that's what I'm getting down to. Remember when I talked about with Interchange that there's better ways to do it? We're in the same situation here. Because what we have in essence is a card, an indifferent card, being changed into a thought of card. There are a million different ways that you can do this. If you want to get really fancy, you could put a card down on a spectator's hand, palm down. You could have a memorized deck. You could have them name a card. You can pass to the card, take the card back, misdirection, top change, and you can change it. Or if you don't want to go down that route, you can just put an indifferent card down on a spectator's hand, name one. As they name it, you cull it to the back, top change, job done. If you don't want to go down that route, hey, pick a card, put it back in, control it. Great, fantastic. Let's take an indifferent card, double lift, and it's changed. And to a layman's point of view, whether you use a memorized deck or whether you use a card control and a double lift or whatever you're going to do, to a layman, it's the same trick. It's taking an indifferent card and turning it into a card that they've named, that they've freely chosen. Except the difference is, when that card changes, they can examine the whole card. This trick is not examinable beforehand. It's not examinable during. It's not examinable afterwards. There's issues all the way through that mean that this is not a great solution to the problem of changing a card into a thought of card. There are many different ways that this can be done. And as I say, I get the feeling, having watched it and performed it and learnt it, I get the feeling that this trick was created specifically to sound really good on the ad copy and to look really good on a trailer. But in reality, you're going to buy this, you're not going to do it, you're going to put it in your bottom drawer, and you're going to go out with a regular deck and you're going to do a double lift or whatever it is you're going to do. You're going to do this in a different way that's more practical. Whether you're a worker or a semi-professional or a professional or whatever it may be, there are better ways to do this. And it's upsetting. It's upsetting because Rick's a great guy, he's a great creator, and I'm a massive fan of Tornado. So I'm really disappointed that this has worked out how it is. I've got to give it realistically half out of 10. I know that sounds really harsh, half out of 10, but the reason is, in my opinion, and remember, this is only my opinion, but in my opinion, this trick is worthless. It's absolutely worthless. People are going to want to examine the card at some point in the process, and at no point they can. And there's millions of ways of doing it better. And you've got to pay for the pleasure. That's the other thing. You've got to pay every time you do this trick. It's costing you 25, 30, 40, 50p. And then you want to carry on doing it, you've got to buy more refills to do a trick that you can actually do without needing to do that with a regular pack of cards. Sorry, Rick, no good. I'm sure that you're going to come up with a winner next time, but it's half out of 10. It's a terrible trick. Bad. Sorry, not good.